You know what, guys? Sometimes I play RPGs. Welcome to a new episode of DSaster. Today I would have loved to bring you a lot of information about SGDQ 2018, but I have a podcast pending about Mario and Luigi Partners in Time, and as you know, promise is debt. So I hope you are ready to start a new episode of this, your podcast, DSaster. As always, I'm going to give you first of all information about Mario and Luigi Partners in Time. This title, developed by Alpha Dream and Nintendo itself, is a direct sequel to the Game Boy Advance title Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, a title that recently has shown its remake for the Nintendo 3DS, but let's focus on this particular title as it has lots of interesting information. Mario & Luigi Partners in Time was released in 2006 in Europe. Somehow it was released earlier in North America and Japan. As always, PAL users, we have to be slower than the rest of the world. But well, anyway, back to topic. An RPG game that is set in the Nintendo universe and that offers us a gameplay that is quite original for a game of this genre, because not only does the role player live by acquiring levels, but also because of the ability to push buttons in specific moments. This will be completely essential and necessary. I'm not going to fool you. You could see that I'm not the most skillful of the gamers, but we have managed to overcome it in any way. 14 hours and many days of streaming. Game, by the way, selected by Centrifugadora1998, thanks to that Twitch Tier 3 subscription. Seriously, Centri, you don't know how much I appreciate it. I believe that all of you here have already seen the suffering and the effort to end it. Hours of fighting, and all because I didn't want to skip a single encounter, which I have to admit was a big mistake. Indeed, like any RPG, to make it easier to finish it, the more we raise the levels and the characters, the easier it will be to end it. But in a Twitch stream, grinding the game is really tedious. So before we go any further, let me tell you that I'm really sorry if it was extremely boring. Let's put this game in context, shall we? We are in the present, and as always, Bowser wants to kidnap Princess Peach. Nothing new on the horizon, right? But after a small fight in which he gets scolded once again, a group of evildoers, who seem much more effective than the King Koopa itself, comes into action. I'm referring to the Shroops, in particular to their princess and the lackeys. Who are these characters? They are mushrooms with a grotesque voice that have certain similarities with toads. That Shroop princess in particular wants to gain the power of the Mushroom Kingdom, and she can't think of nothing else to get it but to attack Princess Peach in the present and in the past. Ooh, the plot sounds intense, and truth to be told, the script of the game is very well written. Mario and Luigi, with the help of the babies and other characters such as Professor Iga, will have to solve different problems by moving through time between the past and the present. The plot is linear, but this time it is understandable because of the increase of the difficulty curve as we advance in the game. I'm going to begin to explain the game in its artistic, auditory and visual sections, and also about its gameplay to make everything easier, okay? We all know that the Nintendo DS wasn't the most powerful system of its time, but the great innovation of the dual touchscreen, along with a very effective microphone, made it a hit, selling more units than Nintendo ever thought possible. But Nintendo is also the king of handheld consoles, right? Curiously enough, this title does not shine because of the use of the second screen or because of its microphone. In fact, those features were a mere anecdote. We have not used the microphone at any time, and the second screen has been used basically to make changes of view and to show us the map and the inventory. However, this doesn't mean that it didn't make the whole use of its potential. The graphics, although it's not their strongest point, are more than correct. Very colorful and with the very typical expressiveness of Nintendo. Variety of enemies, many different abilities, all kingdoms and areas have been recreated with great detail. And to be truly honest, because of all of this, it makes this game a portable delight. The soundtrack and audio effects of this game are simply brutal. The voices glow. Listening to Mario and Luigi chattering in Italian, it is not only fun, it makes you want to imitate them. Also can be found a clarity in the different melodies of the areas to visit, and always we can detect a point of tension when the game needs it. This game has an exquisite sense of humor. Luigi shines with that dynamism and that spark that makes him a fundamental character, sharing the bill with the most common hero in Nintendo's ranks, his brother Mario. The princess not only allows herself to be kidnapped again, but also takes part in the adventures of these two plumbers, Yoshi's, Koopas, Toads, Goombas, the Nintendo universe in full swing with several winks to previous games. But I'm not going to spoil it, because if this podcast does its job, you'll play the game sooner or later. I will now turn to the most important part of this title, which is the gameplay. It's not your typical turn-based game, nope. You need to think, be a strategist, and also be skillful with timings. If we get the timing right, we will do much more damage to our enemies. We can see our opponents, so we can decide whether to raise the level by fighting or dodge them. If we choose on the former, we'll have to study their movement patterns, because if we don't, we will never be able to fight back. The equipment that we get by buying in stores and finding various items in dungeons during the adventure is really important, but not fundamental as in other RPG games. A curious part of it is that when we level up, the game gives us certain parameters, but at the same time it gives us the opportunity to choose one of them to upgrade as we please. We can create tough, powerful, agile or skillful characters. The decision is ours to make. The difficulty curve is compensated, but in the final part, in spite of spending many hours grinding, sometimes the fights are going to be hard and tedious. Its replayability is unfortunately quite limited, since once we reveal the main plot, there are few extra paths to take. However, more than 15 hours of gaming on a handheld game is a very good sign. So in conclusion, I must say that despite how desperate I have been seen during the final part, the game is highly recommended. It will make you spend a very pleasant time, and I'm sure that on these summer days, enjoying it will be a great idea. Maybe even the pool, who knows? Well, here ends this week's podcast. Press the like button if you have enjoyed it, subscribe to the various channels which you can find the links in the description below, and if you like what you heard, then share it and comment it, because it's always nice to see people giving their opinion on what you do. I'm going to start preparing the next podcast and planning the next game for DSaster, that is going to be Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow, selected by Niena Oronar with her tier 3 subscription to my Twitch channel. We'll continue live with the bit war to know what game will be played on stream, and just so you know, WarioWare Touched is winning at this moment. But if you want Polarium to have a chance, you know what you have to do. Go to the channel and give your support to the game. Okay, I will shut up now. See you guys next week, and if not, I'll see you on stream. And as I always tell you, don't forget this, you are not a DSaster. The DSaster is me. See you around, guys.